Alright, I didn't know it was Poetry Month. I kind of obscurely referenced a poem in here, but I write terrible poetry, so this is my favorite to use, not reading my poetry. I am not a crier. When I was a kid, I cried at everything, and through life's bruises and hurdles, I have stopped crying. Part of this is my fault. As a kid, I would see my face in the mirror and realize I looked really ugly when I cried, so I fought to stop. As a teenager, tears were a weakness, so I bit them back. Now, as a woman, I see tears as a waste of my energy and time. Except for one day, every year, I cry at approximately the same time. Sorry, I'm nervous, I can't really breathe right now. 11/11/11. Normally, I am standing solemnly at the cenotaph, watching wizened faces in the shadow of fingers raised in salute, and I feel the tears well in my eyes. They do not burn, they build in my lashes easily, clinging for a moment and blurring my vision. A blink sends them sliding down my cheeks. I don't wipe them away, but let them fall freely, proudly, taking tiny streaks of mascara with them. This year, I watched the ceremony streaming online, yet the fist around my heart was no weaker than before. My friend asked me yesterday, as I told her my plans for the evening, why I cry. Did I have family in the war? Did I lose someone dear? I have been blessed that my family has never seen modern war. The nearest relation to see combat was a great-great-uncle that my grandmother hardly knew, since he died when she was only 4. My paternal grandfather had only one eye, rendering him useless for active duty. He joined the war effort, making planes, and eventually going on to build the Avro Arrow. My maternal grandfather was forbidden by my grandmother to go to war, and given his position as superintendent of schools for Toronto, he was exempt. So it's not that. I was not an army brat in the traditional sense. My father was a lieutenant colonel, commanding officer of his reserves regiment. Between his job and army duties, I rarely saw him growing up, but I always understood why he was away. To maximize his time with me, he would take me to the armories, and some of my fondest memories are of playing in the wingback chairs in the officers' mess and riding my plastic motorcycle through the parade square. Even now, the peculiar commingled smell of gun cleaner, boot polish, leather, stale whiskey, and cigar smoke fills me with the same kind of pervasive trust that is unique to childhood. Even this, though, is not enough to explain the tears. Why do I cry? Last night, as I sat watching the ceremonies in Ottawa, the statistics of the war dead, the updates of the status of Canadian troops in Kandahar, my tears filled predictably. Our soldiers now are so different from those who went to the trenches in the First World War, or those who stormed the beaches in World War II. We have what is called a professional army, people who live and train to defend their country. Back then, they were factory workers, farmers, milkmen, teachers. They were us. They put aside their lives to step up to the call, to fulfill a duty to defend the rights of people they had never met, never seen. They did it with honor, integrity, and dignity. And every year, on one special day, we honor them. Some of my tears were for those who died. Some are for those who are left behind, for they live with the terrible burden of memories or terrible injuries. A good portion of them, though, are for us, the civilians. For one day a year, I let myself cry for us. How many of us would set aside our lives to go to war? How many of us would see the injustice, the pain and suffering and say no more? How many would put our lives in extreme danger to save a stranger? My experience of my own culture has not given me satisfactory answers to those questions. Not that the answers in themselves are incomplete, merely that they are not satisfactory. Not many would go. We have become a culture of selfishness, with casual disregard for the needs of others. I worked in retail for over 10 years, and almost every day, I was given further evidence of this. How many people I helped, who yelled at me for being overworked and overrun, who spoke to me contemptuously because they could, would put away their Louis Vuitton purse, their Brooke Brothers shoes, leave their BMWs in the garage, and go to war. I got a taste of this after the earthquake in Haiti. I was offered the chance to join a medical mission. We had a gruesome task ahead. After landing the Dominican Republic, we would take a boat into Haiti and spend 2 weeks sleeping on the ground. We presumed there would be no toilets, showers, or potable water. We would almost certainly return home with parasites. Our daily task was to evaluate the health of damaged limbs, and unless salvageable with the most basic of the limited Haitian healthcare, we were then to amputate. But not on adults. We were a special pediatric team. There would be little anesthetic. We would be cutting off the limbs of children who would lie shrieking in pain. We planned, purchased supplies, got our own vaccinations, and I told my family and friends about my trip. They looked at me like I had grown 30 heads. It wasn't the words they responded to, but the smiles spread across my face. I was going to do this horrific task, and I was smiling, grinning even. I tried to explain why I was excited to go, that it wasn't for me, it was to be useful to the world, to sacrifice and give myself to others, to fill the need I saw. I told everyone, from the doctor at the clinic to the prospective employer I dropped my resume off to. I was so damn proud. Of the 20 or so people I told, only one said he understood, that if not for his wife and children, he would ask to join us. He gave me the phone number of his contact at the Red Cross, who happened to be running the operation that turned Port-au-Prince Airport into a hospital, just in case, he said. The trip was not to be. 24 hours before our departure, our trip was canceled due to a lack of ground support. Me, the non-crier, sobbed. It hit me then that what I heard most when I told people about my plans was, I wouldn't, couldn't, can't do that. Why not, I wanted to ask. I am no more special than anyone else on this planet. I am no braver, no more altruistic, no more courageous. Why me, and why not you too? So now I cry. As the guns sound, the bagpipers drone, the hands lift in salutes. I cry for those who so bravely stepped up to offer the most ultimate sacrifice, and I cry for those who cannot see such righteousness in themselves. From failing hands they threw the torch, ours to hold high, ours to carry on. I cry because we dropped it.